Na kuna watu wataenda jehanamu. Mujipange jameni. Munusurike jehanamu kwa sababu kuna watu watakuwa kwa upande wa kushoto. Sijui nyinyi mtakuwa upande gani.
Wewe wacha wewe.
Mimi najitetea niwe upande wa kulia. And if it is Ruto must go, tell me how you want me to go.
Hakuna. Ashindwe.
Wale watakuwa upande wa kushoto wataambiwa nilikuwa mgonjwa, hamkunishughulikia.
What I say?
Nilikuwa na njaa, hamkunishughulikia.
Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday something powerful happened in Nairobi. A man many had not heard from in a long time. Businessman and political heavyweight Jimmy Wanjigi stood before the nation and spoke words that sent shockwaves across the country. He said, and I quote, "Mr. President, resign before you are forced to flee." Those 12 words, bold, risky, and heavy, have now become the most talked about statement in Kenya's politics. Within minutes, the clip went viral. Phones were buzzing, hashtags were trending, and every WhatsApp group in the country had the same question. Did you hear what Jimmy Wanjigi said? And that, my friend, is where our story begins. Jimmy Wanjigi made that statement yesterday. His message was not casual. It was a warning, a shot fired straight at the heart of power. He accused President William Ruto of ignoring the cries of ordinary Kenyans, the wananchi struggling with high taxes, joblessness, and unbearable prices. He said, "Mr. President, history has shown that when leaders ignore the voices of their people, they don't just lose power, they lose their country's trust." And then, with calm and confidence, he delivered that line, "Resign honorably before Kenyans push you out." Outside, Kenyans are struggling. Fuel prices are up, unga costs more than before, jobs are scarce, and the youth, our Gen Zs, have filled the streets with anger and courage. Wanjigi wasn't just speaking as a businessman, he was speaking as a mirror to the nation's pain. His words spoke what many whisper daily, that things are falling apart and the government has lost touch with the people. But what does this really mean when someone says, "Resign before you flee"? It means a warning that the people's patience has limits. It means that leadership is no longer about speeches, it is about survival. To understand why this moment matters, we must go back to the days of the Gen Z protests that swept across Kenya earlier this year. Streets filled with thousands of young Kenyans shouting, chanting, crying out for change. Nairobi, Kisumu, Mombasa, Eldoret, Nakuru, all on fire with one message: hatutaki uongozi wa mateso. They were tired of promises, tired of corruption, tired of leaders who fly in helicopters while citizens can't afford fare. And when they protested, many paid the price. There was tear gas, bullets, and many were arrested. Some never came back home alive. Yet even with fear and pain, they refused to stop. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the spirit that Wanjigi is now speaking to. He saw the anchor in the streets, he saw the courage in the youth, and he chose to echo their pain, publicly and fearlessly. He praised the Gen Zs, calling them the symbol of courage, saying this: "They have reminded the ruling elite that power belongs to the people." And that line, "Power belongs to the people," has become the anthem of this new Kenya. It is in the songs, in the memes, and in the graffiti on walls, even on TikToks. It is a generation that is saying, "Hii Kenya ni yetu sisi wote, si yao peke yao." A generation that refuses to be silenced. But here is where things get serious. Political analysts say Wanjigi's statement is not just anchor, it is a signal. Kenya might be entering a new political wave. Think about it. As 2027 draws near, alliances are shifting, our friendships are breaking, and voices like Wanjigi's are testing the temperatures of the nation. Could this be the start of a new opposition movement, or is Wanjigi simply voicing what many in power are afraid to say? Either way, the message is dangerous because it challenges the very foundation of authority. Now let's talk about what Ruto's administration represents today. When Ruto came to power, he called himself the hustler president. He promised to uplift the poor, to fight corruption, to make Kenya fair for everyone. But now, many Kenyans ask, what happened? What happened? Where did the hustler go? Prices are high, corruption stories fill the news, unemployment remains a monster, and young people are drowning in debt and frustration. The government says it is fixing the economy, but on the ground, people are suffocating. So when Wanjigi said you have lost touch with the people, it hit hard because deep down, many Kenyans feel the same. Let's be honest, Kenya has been here before. When people are pushed too far, something always gives. We saw it in 2007 when anger exploded into violence. We saw it in 2017 when protests filled the streets after disputed elections. We saw it in 2025 and even 2024 when Gen Z stormed parliament shouting no more. Each time, leaders promised to listen, but each time, the story repeated. So now, when someone like Wanjigi says, resign before you flee, it is not empty politics. It is history trying to repeat itself. He is remaining President Ruto and every leader that power is borrowed, not owned. And when the people who lent it to you rise to reclaim it, no amount of security or speeches can stop them. He is saying, Mr. President, don't wait for anchor to turn into chaos. Step down before the people push you out. That is bold. That is dangerous. But that is also the voice of a country on edge. So what now? What happens next? Some people believe Ruto should reach out, talk to the youth, lower taxes, and rebuild trust. Others say it is too late, that the damage is already done. On social media, you will find two Kenyans, one that says Wanjigi is right, another that says Ruto is being targeted unfairly. But both agree on one thing: Kenyans are suffering. Whether you are a pro-government or opposition, everyone is feeling the pinch. The mama mboga who can't afford to restock, the boda rider whose fuel costs have doubled, and the graduate who has been jobless for 4 years. That is the Kenya Wanjigi spoke to. The real question is, will the president listen? Because history has one lesson: leaders who ignore their people never win. They might last a while, yes, but eventually the people rise, and they always rise together. Today, that rising voice is not from politicians or tycoons. It is from the youth, it is from the streets, and it is from you. As we speak, the pressure on Ruto is growing. The noise on social media is louder, and the frustration is boiling. Jimmy Wanjigi's statement has become a spark. Whether it becomes a fire depends on what happens next. Will the president open his ears, or will he tighten his grip? Will dialogue calm the streets, or will arrogance fuel them further? Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a political story. It is a human story. It is the story of our people asking to be heard, and our leader being asked one last time to listen. Wanjigi's words may fade in headlines, but the question he asked will echo for years. When power defends leaders, who will make them hear? So to every viewer watching this, think about this. If Kenya was a house and it's burning, do we sit quietly because we fear the landlord, or do we stand up and fight for our home? The choice, as always, is ours. And as Wanjigi said, power belongs to the people.